Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone.
Hey everyone, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Today is May 20th and it is 6 p.m. and we're conducting yet another one of our interviews for City Council candidate. We have another guest with us and she's running for City Council District 46. Running against Mercedes Narcisse, who's the current incumbent, and her name is Dimple Willabus. So I'm going to bring her on right now so we can speak to her, and she'll talk to you about who she is, why she's running. Remember, if they're on our channel, they've already supporting retiree issues, but you could hear her speak to that as well. So welcome, Dimple. How nice to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. So everyone you tell everybody who you are, why you're running for New York City Council.
Sure. So again, my name is Dimple Willabus. I'm a longtime Brooklynite, mom, grandmother, wife, and I'm running because our community needs someone who, is going to be held accountable for their actions. And as my dad used to always tell us when we were growing up as kids, any person can actually find a problem, but who is going to actually solve that problem was most important. Right. So the challenges that our community face are bountiful. It's just a lot of challenges, and we need someone who's going to actually not just complain, but who's going to step up. And I always describe it as choose your hard, meaning if I do not step up and run as a candidate, that's a hard too, because we have to deal with the hardness and the reality of the incumbent not, doing the right things for us. And the other hard is stepping up and actually, facing the challenge of running as a candidate. So I decided to choose the latter of the two, to face the hard. So that's pretty much, why I'm running.
Well, fantastic. So as a candidate, we had met before and we sat down and talked about the issues that were important to our organization. The three issues that were important to my retirees. We are the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. We spoke about our retiree healthcare issue, our battle. I don't know if you know, but we just went back to court last Thursday trying to protect our two lower winds. From Mayor Adams trying to take our health care, and unfortunately the speaker not allowing the council members to call our bill to a hearing and try to pass our bill. We know she has the power. We know she does what she wants when she wants it, but we're looking to help elect candidates that would support us on this issue in protecting the promise that was made to us, protecting our federal public health benefit, not being forced into a privatized alternative to Medicare that many of our doctors and hospitals don't accept. The second issue we raised was that we want to get our Medicare B premium that is statutorily promised to us. It is a legislation that requires that they reimburse us for these costs, and they currently don't reimburse us for 16 to 22 months. So we're looking to get that back sooner. And then the third thing is when you are a sitting city councilwoman, whether you are active or retired, when you pass, your healthcare literally dies the day you die. And so we're asking that they put a grace period of 30 or 60 days that could give our surviving dependents an opportunity to secure their healthcare. So when they're not left without health benefits. And that actually became back on our radar quite recently in the fall when one of our retirees passed away very unexpectedly. And the husband was so distraught over her death that he ended up going to the hospital with a cardiac episode and 10 days later was discharged, and then was discharged with a $250,000 bill because he didn't know his health benefits literally died the day she did. So that was even more stress that he just didn't need. And this is just a humanity thing that we think that the city could kind of accommodate. So those were the three things. And then when we met with you and explained all of them, so everyone here listening would know that you had agreed to help us fix those deficiencies in our protection so that would be protected for us. So absolutely. So this one retiree here, Lila, has a question. She's asking, where is District 46? So what is the area that your district covers?
So District 46 is Southern Brooklyn and is a very big, very diverse community. It starts, let's say, Canarsie. We have Canarsie, Flatlands, Georgetown, Mill Basin, Mill Island, Garrison Beach, Bergen Beach, Sheepshead Bay, Marine Park. Is, like I said, it's very big, very diverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lila, for the question. Janice, also Brooklyn, says, Dimple, what is your view on the bait and switch on the Coyle Street and how and if it can be fixed? I told you this was going to come up.
Yes. So first of all, Janice, thank you for your question. And in all honesty, this was not a bait and switch. This was just a council member who was just trying to dodge a bullet because she's just a bad actor and don't want to fess up to the fact that she made a bad decision. Now, just to backpedal, back in 2023, July 28th to be exact, of 2023, Council Member Mercedes Narcisse received documentation from DHS, Department of Homeless Services, and the community board was informed regarding this matter. But she decided not to inform the community. Now, the city council person is the last person or the last individual decision maker for this to come to the table, a desk. Now, as an elected official, if this come to your desk and you're not aware of it, supposedly not aware of it, then it's incumbent upon you to inform your community, have a town hall. She's saying regarding this that she sent an email. No one has ever seen this so-called email back in 2023 that she said she did. Let's say for the sake of conversation, there was an email that was sent to DHS or the mayor's office, wherever she said this email went to. Now, why did you not inform the community? Now, I should expand on the fact that the community, or I should say the stakeholders, the homeowners on 4th Street, which is parallel to Coyle, were all in support of affordable housing. Now, I'm not saying that I do not support having a shelter if it's necessary in a specific area of a community, but stakeholders in our community must be at the table because they're the taxpayers who are affording this opportunity for, a vulnerable community. Now, these stakeholders and homeowners signed on for an affordable housing. They agreed to this. They signed a contract with a company. Now, fast forward, this arrangement was changed. There was an RFP, request for proposal, of which WestHab, the nonprofit, actually got that RFP in conjunction with DHS. And then the homeowners were not informed that this was actually changed from an affordable housing to a shelter. However, the city council person was informed. So I have to give her that responsibility that she knew about it. Now, to answer your question, Janice, what we're doing currently, now we were not informed about this by the council member. How we knew about this, myself and a community advocate by the name of Lena Chan, we were informed by another elected official, an assemblywoman at a different agenda, different situation, when she told us back on March 6th of 2025, not so long ago, just about 2 months ago, Lena Chan and I decided to jump on this and started sounding the alarm, letting the community know that this is happening. Right away, I set up a petition to go out so that people would sign, against this. Because again, it's not that I'm against having a homeless shelter or against homeless shelters, because the crises that arise, for example, a fire where a family would need some way to be temporary housed. There could be a flood. There could be different disasters. So a shelter is not only something negative all around. We have to look at the circumstances all across the board. So when I sang, myself and Lena sung the alarm there at Coyle Street, we hosted a press conference. That press conference, brought a lot of attention to it, including media attention, so on and so forth. But myself and Lena Chan were the first two who jumped on this. Then the stakeholders, this was the 6th of March. On the 9th of March, the construction company was trying to come in to the community driveway of those residents on 4th Street, forging their way with the police also present, saying that they have the right permits to come into these people's community driveway, wrongfully so. So we, as in myself, along with other community leaders and the residents, tell them, no, you cannot come here because we do not have an arrangement with you. We do not have a contract to have a homeless shelter. We signed on for an affordable housing. Now, I should say that, Janice, that those residents, those stakeholders were actually sued by West Hab, and the court case was concluded on May 7th. Thankfully, after going to court 2 times on this particular case. And, this has brought a lot of grief. This has brought around a lot of financial burden and stress. And Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse needs to stand by her failed record and accept that she actually failed these stakeholders, put them in a financial burden and a financial lock where they have to now come out of pocket to fund, paying for an attorney to fight against something that she did as a bad actor. So those residents actually won the case against a West Hab because they did not have an agreement for a shelter versus a shelter versus the affordable housing. Now, is there a solution to this, Janice asks? So my answer is yes, there's always a solution. And my solution is what Mercedes claimed to do. In fact, on April 5th, she came at Coyle Street and she lied and said in 7 days, she'll solve the problem. You call it a problem that you created? Okay, solve it for us. The 12th of April would have been the problem solved date. That would be 7 days after the 5th. She never showed up. She did what she did. She ghosted everybody as always. She just talks a lot and no action. She's just an elected official who just airs her mouth with no action. So the solution to it, Janice, because she claimed, Mercedes Narcisse claimed, the council member claimed that she sent a letter to the mayor's office with all these electronic signatures that a staff could copy and paste just to show that she's doing something. I describe that as inaction. That's nothing. I want to see action, meaning, is the mayor going to do something about this? Are you going to do something about it? She has done absolutely nothing but talk. So, Janice, if I were to be elected on day 1, that shelter would stop because I would make sure I literally, do what was necessary, whether it be, filing a lawsuit against an injunction against this lawsuit, whatever's necessary to stop this. Mercedes Narcisse has done absolutely nothing to stand with our community. I hope that answers your question.
She actually just messaged back and said, thank you for being present at all the rallies. So I guess you're pretty active on this issue.
Yes, it's unfortunate, Marianne, that I have to. Usually when you're a candidate running for office, you try to have more of, try to do your research to find issues where you can highlight. But the person I'm running against, the incumbent, the council member Mercedes Narcisse, has done such a bad job in our district that she's forced me to run for office because we cannot continue to fail in this way as a district. We failed on many issues. She voted in December of 2023 for the lithium-ion battery plants to come in our district. We have 2 in Marine Park, and then we have 1 in Canarsie, of which she does not own because she claims is not in her district. Well, I have news for her. That part of the district was her district when she actually voted for it back in 2023. That's before the lines were drawn. Also, you cannot say that it's not your district and discount it simply because where it's located is by the BJs, where your constituents also shop. And it's two blocks away from your district. So if an explosion happens, it will impact your district. So I don't want to hear you saying that it's not your district and then turn your back. That's just being not a bad act of character.
Wow. That is a lot going on in your district, just starting out. Laura says, glad you're brave to criticize the decision that Mercedes Narcisse made as to Coyle Street. We are looking for honesty.
Laura, you're right. We're looking for honesty as a constituent. Again, I'm a homeowner and a mom, and all I want is for someone who can represent our community with transparency and accountability. That's me. That's all I wanted. When I started running last year was simply because Mercedes Narcisse, the city council member, was absent. She was an absentee city council person. We begged her. We asked her. We literally ran her down to say, can you come out with us against illegal migrant encampment at Floyd Bennett Field? These illegal migrants were coming into our homes, into our yards, there was so much of an influx of them. There were crimes happening in our community. We asked her, can you come out and help us when we had rallies at Kings Plaza? She never showed up for 1 year. She said, this is her exact words, I'm not going to fight the fight. I'm not going to win. That was her exact words at Community Board 18. No, she said she's not going to fight, and she sure did not. And guess what happened? Fast forward 1 year later, President Trump came in office, and along with the mayor, along with the governor, he made sure that space was cleared of those illegal migrants. And Mercedes and Eric Adams, the mayor, went there at Floyd Bennett Field and did a press conference. And of course, as always, as a bad actor that she is, she took credit for removal of the illegal migrant encampment at Floyd Bennett Field. Now, this is, first of all, an issue where it's an inhumane space for people to be sleeping. That's not a correct space for people to be housed. It's just not the right space. It's a flood zone. It was flooded. It was it's a national park. And also the children and families who were encamped there also were in some of the local schools. The schools were closed in our district. We were reaching out to her, begging her, not asking, begging, can you help us find a solution to this? Can you work with us? Again, her words were, I'm not going to fight the fight that I cannot win. This is a federal issue. I'm not touching this. So that's when I had to step in and said, okay, this is enough is enough. I cannot continue to stand by the sideline and just rally. When you have a rally, when you have a protest, Marianne, that is good. You sound the alarm. However, there's a missing component to it. The missing component to it is you're not at a table. Therefore, you must be on the menu. I need to be at a table because I am tired of being on the menu. I've been sitting on the menu at all those rallies, and it's time that somebody who is transparent, accountable, and a real leader come and step up in our district and stop talking and just do. Enough already.
That's actually our saying. We say the same thing. We didn't have a seat at the table. We didn't have a seat at the room. We were on the menu.
Amen. That's simple. And these are all things. Our district is also number 5 in tax liens. We have over 800 houses today, homeowners that would lose their property. And in this district, we have crimes, surge in crime. We have so much issues in our district, and it's all under the city council, her watch. Since she came in office, these are some of the failures on her watch. But then she'll tell you that she's working very hard. Well, guess what, Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse? Your heart is not good enough.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. How come there that high number of homes with tax liens? What's that from?
Well, it's a compounded issue because let's say, for example, a main situation, a senior who's on a fixed income missed a payment or had some kind of issue with payment. They missed that payment. That payment now starts to bear interest. Now that person's on a fixed income. How are they paying something along with an interest that's compounded? So for me personally, those seniors are homeowners, not only seniors, homeowners need some kind of a break, tax break, or some kind of the interest, like forgiveness on the interest, so that at least they can catch up back on their property, so they don't lose their property. So there's a lot of issues that are not being handled, in our district.
In some municipalities, they offer like a discount on your taxes dependent on age or disability. So if you're over 65, you'd have no school taxes, for example, or you'd only pay 15% taxes. Or if you're disabled. I know there was one at one point, I don't know if it's still there, for 9/11 disabled responders. So there were some. Are there not any tax breaks for seniors in the city?
I'm sure there's certain tax breaks, but regarding this particular matter, it's more of a developer's dream, just like the city of Yes, because a developer now or these sharks would look at this as a perfect opportunity to strike when they can buy that tax lien and then turn around and hold it against you because they can now charge interest on it or however they do it. So, again, there's a lot of issues we're faced with. And I just tip on one of the major issues, which is the city of Yes, which, again, like I repeat, it's a developer's dream because all of us have to deal with the realities of, what's currently happening. We're seeing construction in every corner of, different districts throughout New York City. And this is part of, selling people's houses or buying people's houses through this situation with the tax lien. So that's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Laurie, you're right. We do need an overhaul. Yes.
I'll post that one. That's a good question. Good statement, too. We need a full overhaul of the incumbents that sit on our city council. We need lawmakers who are people over profit. We need lawmakers who aren't swaying to any political machine or harmful endorsements. I agree with you completely. She says, this is a ridiculous trend that candidates shouldn't talk negative about their contenders. Nonsense. I love your passion. Speak the truth, Dimple Willabus. You're standing for people's lives. Thank you, Laura.
Well, thank you, Laura. And I'll share on the note of the aspect of, technically being bought by big these super PACs. My opponent actually received $91,000 from a super PAC to help her with her campaign. So grassroots candidate like myself, who received $10, $20, $50, $100, she received $91,000, and that's separate from us receiving our matching funds. So while I'm scraping to make ends meet to, be in court with her, because she had me in court for a good 6 weeks to get me off the ballot to disenfranchise our stakeholders, our voters. Additional to that, I'm trying to raise money to, run my campaign so that I market my campaign so that you would know who I am and to learn about me. She has now another bolstered a boost with the $91,000 from a super PAC. So these are some of the things that a lot of constituents don't know and voters don't know. With grassroots candidates like myself, who's truly unbossed and unbought, we have to deal with a lot, because our grassroots work literally is plucking grass, as in literally the grassroots part of it. Plucking grass as in every bit counts. We have to go out there and advocate. Plus, we have to make sure we attack the issues and know what the issues are. But we also have to solicit donations from voters so that we can give voters an option. And I want your viewers to know also, because I knew what I was up against and who I'm up against and who's supporting her. She's being supported by the political elitists and everybody else who, our taxpayer dollars she puts into their piggy bank. We have to deal with that. So what I wanted to do is make sure that I said again, our voters have option. I'm running on 2 lines. I'm running on the Democratic line. We have a primary next month, myself, along with the incumbent, Mercedes Narcisse. But I'm also running on a conservative line so that, again, if it is such that it does not work out for me next month, I will still be on the ballot in November. And one thing I want to note, Marianne, to your viewers and to your audience, is that do not only look at a 2-party system as your voting pool. Please explore options and read about candidates. It's imperative that you learn about the candidates who are running and not focus too much on the line, because there are a lot of candidates who are running independent lines, conservative line, and other lines, and they're great candidates. Do not discount them. Don't vote for me because I'm a Democrat. Don't vote for me because I'm a Republican. Don't vote for me because I'm independent. Vote for me because of what I can do and what I plan to do in my community, and hold my foot to the fire. Please do, because that's how it's supposed to be.
That's what we say, because our organization encourages our retirees to stop you doing what we have typically done, where if you were Republican, you'd vote red down ticket. You were a Democrat, you voted blue down ticket. Stop, because it hasn't gotten us anywhere but other than in this mess that we're currently in. And then they become part of the machine that's literally working against you. Listen to the people that are literally telling you what they are doing. Exactly what you said. We believe 100%, because this organization has endorsed people who were running as independents, running as conservatives, running as Republicans, running as Democrats. And they're tired of the same BS that we're tired of as well. So it's refreshing to hear yet another candidate say the same thing. Where I did not know you were running as a conservative. I'm going to update our political website to put both lines there for you so that people do know that.
Yes, and both lines, thank you. Both lines were, Mercedes Narcisse attacked me on both lines, had me in court on both of those lines to get me off of the ballot from both of those lines, even though I was still trying to give, like I said, voters options, because if I'm not a candidate in the primary, then she slides through just like she did the last time. Now she's all of a sudden doing work to show that she's actually active, because prior to me running, she was just not even present in our community. She would send a staff. Now you can see her prancing around through the district. We don't want to see that. What we need to see is an active person in action, not your words, in action, because when you take on the responsibilities as an elected official, you have to be able to relay the information in the city council as per your constituents, not as per what's best interest for you or your political elitist friends to push more of their agenda. This is about the constituents. And if you're not speaking on our behalf, then we have a problem.
Absolutely. Janice says, oops, did that come up? No, it didn't. Totally, we're done with lip service. We're done with tribalism, says Laura. Janice says, it's not the party that counts, but the issues that you support and involve you. I agree.
Absolutely. And Janice is right. If it's the Janice that said that. Yes,
Yes.
we have to, this is what I try to say. Now, one of the things I want to say here tonight is I'd like to challenge Mercedes Narcissa debate. She's been dodging me and saying absolutely not. She would not have a debate nor a town hall. And I think that's wrong. I think our constituents and our voters have a right to listen to the candidates and to hear what they're going to do for our community. It's only fair, it's only respectful, and we owe it to our constituents to have a debate on issues and her record. And even though I'm not an elected, I still have a record. I have a track record of over 30 years. Again, I said I have 3 children. My eldest is 31. She's a union member. She's at the Department of Education as a DOE teacher. And I have my younger daughter who's 18 years old. She's a freshman at Princeton University studying law. She is the youngest published author in the U.S. who has 4 published books. I have my youngest who is 15 years old. He's in high school. And I have my 2-year-old granddaughter. Now, my husband is retired military and 21 years with the NYPD. I am a small business owner, a journalist by profession, but a small business owner for over 30 years. And I've always, and this is not lip service, my action speaks. It's there. It's evidence. There's track record of everything I'm saying. I've had several businesses under my belt. And throughout the entire process, all through those years, I've always done my community good. I've taught my children about community service because community service is a rent you pay on this earth. We have a legacy to build and leave for our children and our grandchildren. We owe it to them. This is not about politics. When the cameras are off, we need to make sure we are doing our due diligence because we have to be mindful of what we're doing, how we're doing it. Our children are watching, our grandchildren are watching. We have to leave our world a better place, right? So that's my record.
Very good. Janice says, on what grounds did she have you in court?
That's a good question. All kinds of grounds, Janice. Oh, Lord. My attorney, I was saying, what is going on here? So she was trying to say that I didn't have enough signatures. My signatures were not good. My signatures were fraud signatures, all kinds of different things, just to really tangle me in court. And I was literally sweating because the truth of the matter was, it was a deadline. There were certain crunch dates and deadlines that the Board of Elections was supposed to publish the list of candidates who are going to be in the ballot. And they give the date of a date which is after for my court hearing because I was in court during that time. And thankfully, God has been good to me. And the list was published. The court case ended just a few days before the list was published, freeing me to be on the ballot, giving you options to vote. So there was a mountain of things that her lawyer kept coming back at me at, saying that I wasn't qualified and whatnot. But this is just the political malfeasance that we have to face, again, as grassroots candidates. I can speak freely, because I don't have any chains attached to me other than, my commitment to God and my constituents and the voters. That's it.
Very good. Janice says she would also love to see that debate. Did she decline to debate with you?
Well, she said on your show also that she would not. I think, was it you that asked her about a town hall? And she said she wouldn't do that because good. So what does that tell you? She does not want to face the public. She cannot answer questions because, again, she's a bad actor. Everything that she publishes, from her website to her Facebook page, or her literature that she sends out, is all just propaganda. It's all propping from companies that she's paid, marketing company, to make her sound good and look good, just like Andrew Cuomo. I mean, we have a lot of marketing companies out there that do a good job. But what I'd like to implore and encourage your voters and viewers to do, again, look at the issues. And by the way, this is public record. Nothing that I share here is my opinion. Everything that I share here are facts that are on the city website. You can go and look at her record and look to see how she's also voted to destroy our community, along with other city council members, the socialists, how they've given people like myself, who is a Democrat, a bad name. Some people want to stone me when I go to canvas. They said, what are you, a Democrat? When I said, yes, I have to block so that I'm not stoned by, some people saying, oh, you're a socialist. I said, no, I'm not a socialist. I'm a common sense candidate, happen to be a Democrat. And please look at the issues and do not try to stone me. And then they ask me, what is your platform you're running on? And I start explaining to them, look, the first thing we have to start with is the basics, which is public safety. Why do we buy a house? Before we purchase a house, we look to see how safe the community is. Before we rent an apartment, we look to see how safe the community is, public safety. Before we send our children to school, we look to see how safe the community is, public safety. Before we go and shop at the supermarket, or before we explore options on a vacation, we look to see how safe that space is, public safety. So everything we do circulate and go around public safety. So it's imperative that we choose elected officials or candidates who understand public safety and not just try to strip and shred away, our police officers too, because when we look to see what's happening on that space, we have a lot of issues in that space too, in public safety.
Very good. Laura says, thank you, Dimple. Now that I'm aware, I'll push Mercedes Narcisse to have a debate with you. This is outrageous that debates are disappearing. We're experiencing this with the UFT. Our current leadership rejected a debate with their contenders. So I don't know if your daughter, you mentioned your daughter's DOE, if she's UFT, she would be involved in that election. We've got behind one of the slates running against the incumbent because of what they did to force us into this Medicare Advantage plan and pass these backdoor costs onto us to try to make fund raises for their contracts, fund their contracts. So Laura, the logo behind Laura is A Better Contract. So that's the slate that she's running on. So they've been very vocal about that. And of course, the incumbent doesn't want to, much like she's saying with this, is because they don't want to answer to the people about what they did or why they did it. So they could hide behind what they did.
Yes, but honestly speaking, I've been trying to figure out why is it that a city council hasn't pushed and closed out on supporting our retirees. To me, it's a disgrace, because I'm sure they know of somebody who is also on the, who's a retiree who would be hurt by this and has been hurting over this. Because before you sign up for a job, you look to see the benefits, and you want to know that benefit actually holds up. It's part of the bargain, and the city and state do their part while you're doing the job, that you're paying into. Every time you work, your salary is being cut because you have to put that into that piggy bank. And it's only respectful and fair. It's just a human thing. It's just a right. Our two most vulnerable members of our community, our seniors and our youth, we should bow down to them always, not to mention our veterans. But at the same time, this is what we're dealing with in the city council. Somebody said, I voted for Democrats in debates. I'd love to see a debate. Yes, of course. I don't know the name of that person, but
I'll put that up.
Time.
Yeah. It's just I don't know what kind of a name that is, but it's a screen name of some sort, not a real name. It says, I haven't voted for a Democrat in decades. I would love to see that debate myself. And that's the disenfranchisement. We've been saying that this is not the Democrats were frustrated that they lost the election in November, that they're losing seats around the state and around the country, but they're not listening to the people tell them that they're not happy with where the party is moving. And so if they're not listening and you can't even in New York City, this can't be more, the optics of this cannot be more bright. When we keep saying to our city council for the last 4 years, protect us. We were made a promise for 60 years. Protect the promise that was made to us. You're telling, your elected people are telling the elderly, the disabled, line of duty spouses that lost their spouses in the line of duty, 9/11 responders and survivors, and our disabled children. I'm not going to help you protect that insurance that you had. I'm going to go with those unions that are giving me money for my campaigns.
It's disgraceful. It is disgraceful. So I should say to you, Marianne, in my community here in Mill Basin, again, my husband is retired Marine and with the NYPD. So technically speaking, that is applicable to me. If he were to be retired and NYPD a few years ago, this would impact him too. If he were to die, then that would impact me and my
Yes.
children from coverage. So this is personal. But again, if it wasn't personal, let's say it wasn't the case, it's still common sense that they should be supported. And you're absolutely right. And the person the most high at the end of the name, I want to say that you're absolutely right. People are frustrated because, when I was growing up, I don't want to make myself sound so old, but I would say when I was growing up years ago, you could not tell, Marianne, the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. They would be at a table, having a few drinks and then debating, right? You couldn't tell
Right.
who's Democrat and Republicans. It's just kind of like a matter of choice. But now you can see this major divide in Democrats and Republicans. And to me, that's sad because I have to be very careful who I'm saying I'm a Democratic candidate to, again, so that I don't get stoned. But then I have to beg them, listen, just hear me out so I can share with you. And people have a right to be frustrated. They have an absolute right to be frustrated. So I say to you, Most High, if you're my district, please give us at least an opportunity. And I totally understand. And I listen to the Democrats many times, and I'm flinching and saying to myself, listening to them, this pool of elected officials in the city council came in 2022, the batch of election, the election there in 2022 brought in a lot of city council people who I don't think read before, they're actually understanding of the material and information that's coming before them. Because I sit and listen to some of the hearings and I'm conflicted, and if they're listening to something different than I'm listening to, because they're not using any kind of rationale and common sense, they're just acting on impulse. Some of the decisions they're making, if 2 or 3 of their colleagues have voted on something, they're just acting and just voting on that. They're not thinking long term. And this is what we need. We need city council people who are in office who are thinking long term, the actions of their decisions regarding public safety, regarding education, regarding our seniors, regarding our veterans, or whatever subject or topic. You must put yourself in that position long term. What decisions am I making? How is this going to affect my family, my children, my grandparents, my parents, myself? But they're not thinking like that. They're just thinking, how am I going to lash out at the police? How am I going to get back to the police? Because they're thinking in some of these cases, if you listen to some of these hearings, that, I'm doing this bad to the police. No, you're doing it bad to your constituents and the city. You're destroying it. People are running away. And it's because of the city council. People are running in droves to other states and are charging us as New Yorkers to come to this state. Why are you coming here? The city council is destroying our city. So Most High, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm not in that category. I'm a common sense candidate.
Very good. John says Brooklyn Conservative Party Chief Fran Vella Marone is a longtime neighborhood leader and a great judge of people and character. Dimple will make a great council member.
Thank you.
Let's see what else is down here. Joshie John has another statement. Attracting quality people to be police officers and school teachers is money well spent. This problem has been caused by crooked, rich, and powerful. That worker benefits are too generous is a con. We know that.
Yes. There's not much to say. It's self-explanatory. That's just literally a sad place where we're stuck in. And, it's unless we understand exactly what we're working with, I think that there needs to be, when we're in school, we're in high school, and when we're in college, there's usually a breakdown of understanding. You have homework to do. You go home and you do your homework, you do your assignments, you do your projects, and then you take it back to school and you present sometimes, in some cases. In this case, the city council members clearly are not doing their homework to understand those presentations that are happening or whatever committees are coming before them. They should read these things. Now, a lot of times, especially when it comes to the lithium-ion battery plant crisis that we're faced with, that Mercedes voted on, I don't want to hear any excuses. This was part of the City of Yes deal. This is part of the carbon neutrality deal. I do not want to hear it's 1,400 pages and you didn't know. I don't want to hear that excuse. You were given a task, and the task is you're there to represent us. And if you fail to do your job, step aside. Apologize and say that you failed. You didn't know. And she did say it. She did apologize. Did apologize, but she did say, coming back to Kyle Street, that she didn't know that was a real situation. She thought it was meant for somebody else. She said it on this very same podcast. So she cannot backpedal. I sat and I listened to her words. Those were her exact words. She said she didn't know. She sent an email. That is not excusable. You're not excused from being a bad actor, from failing to deliver for your constituents. You did not follow up. You cannot use that as an excuse. So again, we have multiple issues happening, not only in our district, but throughout New York. And when we make a decision as an elected official in office in our district, and it impacts also the city, especially if it goes forward, if it passed through, like the bill that she put forward on jaywalking. Now we have so many issues in our district, and the only thing you can focus on is removing a fine from jaywalking. There are 500 people who receive fines out of 8.5 million people traversing through New York City. 8.5 million people. Is that really a crisis? No, we have more issues like our retirees who need your support that you should be looking at, and taking care of our public safety, making sure our seniors are able to walk to the pharmacy in peace, our children are not in gangs. These are the issues we need to think about, not just worrying about jaywalking. So now the young people, they usually have their heads in their phones when they're walking. Now they can walk freely, traversing through the traffic, and it's legal to do because she put them in harm's way based on her poor decision making again.
It's wild. So Janice asks, how can we help you if we're not in your district? I believe Janice is in a neighboring district to you.
So Janice, you can help in a few ways. One, you can donate to support my campaign. Two, you can volunteer by sharing, my page on social media. It's just, everything is just Dimple Willabus on all platforms. Dimple Willabus on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and my landing page is dimplewillabus.com. You can volunteer, you can donate, you can share and spread the word. Those are pretty much the basics. Thank you.
And if they're nearby, they could also help volunteer for your campaign. Yes.
100%. Yes. It doesn't matter where you live. You could live in the Bronx, Manhattan. And if you'd like to volunteer, because there's early voting starts from the 14th to the 22nd, and then election day is the 24th. So, if you'd like to volunteer, come out and share literature, whatever you'd like to do, just send me a message. I'm always easy to reach. Everything you see there is my direct stuff. I don't have a marketing company doing my work. I do my work myself. I'm not one of those candidates who raise money and then pay a company to do my work. And when I get there, I'm asking, what do I do next? There's nobody to help me. No, what you hear is from me and what it is.
Yes, and I just put your website in the chat again, and it is running on the ticker down below. If you go there, you can donate, and you can also click the button to volunteer for her as well. So you can definitely do that. Janice says she will do. So thank you for that, Janice. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I know this is kind of off topic, but the politics here are driving me away from New York City. What frustrates me the most is as soon as people get in office, they forget who put them there. Please stay true.
Exactly. And this is exactly what I was saying earlier. So when you're not accustomed to being in the public space and not accustomed to attention, when you get there, for some people, it's difficult. I'm in media. I'm a journalist. I own my small media company. I started out my career back in Guyana, where I'm from originally, as a journalist. I started the First Life television program 32 years ago. Please do not ask me my age. I'm still 35. I started my career back then, and then I came here, worked at CBS in the newsroom, and then I worked at Chase Bank. So I worked in corporate America for a little bit before I started opening my business here in the US to get my feet wet. Point of issue is I've always been in a public space, and I've done mentorship work with Brooklyn College. I'm currently on the board of trustee at Kingsborough Community College. So I'm always in a position of accountability. By the way, the person who asked that question, now I want you to know this. The most important people to me in terms of accountability is first to my God and to my children. So even though voters can put my foot to the fire, I will always be true to my word, because my children, again, I said it. If you know me, you'll know I stand by my children and who they are based on their character. And if I'm a fake and a flake, then they will see that and they will judge me. And believe me, they're my biggest critics. My children are my biggest critics. And if I fail to do something and they don't like it, they will tell me. So for me, it's important that I keep my word. And if I fail at something, I'll be the first to apologize and say, I did fail at this. I'm not good at this. Can you help me with this? And I'll apologize, because nobody's perfect. So I cannot stand a person who can't own their failures. Own your failure, make an excuse, whatever it is, but own it. Please do not run from it. That's my philosophy.
And it's okay because you learn from your mistakes. But I mean, at
100%.
least own it.
But and the voters and the constituents will feel better knowing that you own it. Up to this day, Mercedes Narcisse, the council member for District 46, has never owned the fact that she voted, which is public record, to have those lithium-ion battery plants in our district. She's never done anything about it. She said 2 months ago that she's going to look into it. We're still struggling. One of the construction sites in Marine Park, they're currently doing work there. She has done absolutely nothing to push back on this. Nothing. So what are we supposed to do with these lithium-ion battery plants? These are health issues. These are hazards in our community. This is in the backyard of our Marine Park constituents and voters and residents, not to mention the destruction for people's health, not to mention the plummeting of people's property value. But this is bringing a lot of heartache to constituents. People can't sleep at nights. They're stressed out. What direction can people go in if they have elected officials who are not standing by their side and standing with them? This is not fair. This is not right to us as voters and as constituents. We trusted her. We entrusted her to do a job for us, and she's failed.
Absolutely.
Oh, somebody. Most I said, are you sure you're a Democrat? I did say I had common sense, right?
Yeah, and actually that was the next that was another comment by Laura. She said, would you be joining the Common Sense Caucus in the City Council?
Absolutely.
That's
without a doubt.
Funny.
100%. Listen, I'll say this to you, to the person who asked that, Laura, she asked that question. Laura, I'll say this. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, wherever you stand. I care about the issue and the constituents. If you're going to support issues that would benefit the constituents and our city, that's where I stand. I will work with everybody. At the end of the day, this is just a title. Republican is a title. Democrat is a title. Independent is a title. We're seeing this. And truth be told, I'm happy that our mayoral candidates are actually running on different lines to kind of give voters an understanding of how that one person could use different lines to run. Because we're seeing Eric Adams running on the independent line. We're seeing Andrew Cuomo express an interest in running too, and so on. So just look at a candidate and look to see what they bring to the table. This is where you win when you look in that way.
Absolutely. I hear you there. Ellen says, we have too many elected officials who say they support us and do diddly squat. Justin Brannon said on his mailer that he supports seniors. A promise made is a promise kept. I asked him to tell me and show me how he supported us. No response. Ellen, I want to say something to you because you are now like the third person that has told me this. And I do want you to know that I reached out to Justin Brannon and I said to him, your mailers are hitting my people's mailboxes, my retirees' mailboxes, and they're not very happy with you. To say that they're displeased is an understatement. And then he messaged me back and told me, I didn't send out a mailer.
Yeah. You see, because probably somebody else sent it. It was probably his marketing company or whatever it was.
So they put up the big lie, like, I support you fixing this yourself. So no, what does he really say?
What is he really saying? So at the end of the day, it's pretty much we have to be a reflection. A representative, an elected official is a reflection of our constituents and our district. And if we're not doing that, then we're failing. Because when we come back to our district now and sitting there in our civic meetings and our community board meetings, then we have to be held accountable for our action or inaction to act based on what our constituents put us there to do. We're a voice of our constituents. We can't go and act on our own behalf because we feel as if an elected official feel, okay, well, this is how I feel about it. Nobody want to hear how you feel per se. It's about the district. You could share your opinion, but it's an overarching issue. Nobody will vote ever for a lithium-ion battery plant in their district. Neither would they try to choose a homeless shelter in a neighborhood where it's so densely populated already. Now, I want to make one thing clear before we leave tonight, just a point of correction, or not correction, but elaborate on something. So a lot of people have been not really understanding on Coyle Street precisely what the issue is. And I want to repeat. Now, this is a case where it was set to be an affordable housing, But then the elected official or council member knew in 2023 that it was switched to be, because it was purchased by another by a nonprofit, West Ave, to be in a homeless shelter. So on my position on homeless shelters, I do support the fact that families and individuals may need, to be in a shelter based on crisis. I do support shelters because we do have shelters in New York City. We do have we need that support for people or families who may need it then. However, this is not a case. This is not a subject at hand at Coyle Street. The constituents there and the voters and the stakeholders are saying that they did not know this was coming. They were misled by the elected official, Mercedes Narcisse. That's the issue there. So I just want to make sure I bring clarity to that particular issue. So when you see them with signs saying no homeless shelter, they're not against homeless shelters. They're against homeless shelters, a homeless shelter in their community, which is already densely populated. We have Nostrand houses and Sheepshead Bay houses in that specific area, geographical area, with over 4,000 constituents already in 6x6 blocks of public housing. Then there's a mixed-use community where there are homeowners also. So people are saying, because it's also transportation desert, you're compounding all these issues in the same congested area. And I think this is by design also. Mercedes did this because she knew that these people may overlook this, because if we did not stop it just literally a day or two before, the construction started, this would have actually come into fruition. So even though it's kind of a pause for now, we still have to find ways on how we can deal with this. But again, I do not talk against homeless shelter. I'm saying that because people are in crisis, and we do need to support our most vulnerable, our veterans, our seniors, and those in need. We never know what will happen to us in the future, because there are floods, there are fires, there are different disasters that happen, and we have to be able to support those most vulnerable until they get back on their feet. So I just want to bring that clarification.
Thank you for that. Most High says, I think many of us are just politically fatigued by all the empty promises. We really want to trust again.
Yeah, and you're 100% correct. Look, when trust is broken in a marriage, it's very difficult to fix. It's a relationship. What's happening here is a relationship. When you choose someone, you entrust that person is going to act on your behalf based on what you're saying. So when you break that relationship, that marriage between you and your constituents, that's just broken. And that's what's happening to us. That's what's happened to us in District 46. Mercedes Narcisse has broken the public trust. So nobody wants to hear from her. When she speaks, it's like just water and duck back, as we say. It just flows right down, and nobody cares to hear what she's saying. Her nice mailer she could send out. She could say whatever nice on social media, whatever ads she has. It doesn't matter. Her record speaks for itself. She's a failure and a bad actor in our district, hands down.
Oh my goodness. You have a lot of support here, Dimple. I want you to see that people support shelters and just not in their neighborhoods. And yes, ER Entertainment, yet a lot of times that they would not mind in some cases some of the things that she's talking about, even potentially these lithium ion batteries plants. But I have to tell you something. This is a dangerous trend to me, because I live in Georgia. I don't know if Dimple, you knew that, but I lived in Atlanta. No. So I live in the South. I when I moved down here was to be able to take care of my family, and I left New York. But my retirees are 3/4 of them are in New York, and most of us that have moved out, we're in mostly southern states. And what we're seeing is these two same things that you're describing, even here in my community. These battery plants are popping up in communities, like not in an area where there's no residential areas, but like in communities, not a distance away, far from homes, like they're in your neighborhoods. And this is concerning to many of us, even here in the South. And then the second thing is land use. So also where I may not have the need here, because we're very rural where I am, that they're looking to put in homeless shelters or affordable housing. But affordable housing is still an issue even in my community. You still have, in where I live, that houses are over $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Now, young people who are starting out, just married or just getting on their own, they don't have the ability to purchase a home that's $500,000. They need to be able to have attainable housing that, as young people starting out in new jobs at entry level positions, that they could afford a place to live so that they're not in their 30s and 40s and living in their parents' homes, right? So that would be something that would be more understandable. In our community, they tried to do something very similar where actually this happened right in the middle of town, where a hospital was a nonprofit and it was a major cancer hospital. And then all of a sudden, and they were welcome to come in and build it was a for-profit hospital that came in as a cancer facility. And then it was sold after it was developed, and it became a nonprofit, now taking out of the county coffers all of those taxes. Then nearby, they did the same thing with a development that they said would be a church and a school. And then before you knew it, when they started to reveal the plans changed. It wasn't just a church and a school, because who would mind a church and a school in their neighborhood? Or the next door one, they said, we're going to create a park on these 28 acres. And then it wasn't just a park. It was 28 ball fields, pickleball fields, soccer fields, literally 50 feet from the backyards of houses that were like $250,000, almost $1 million homes. And then the school and the church became a school, a church, a marching band field, a 4,500 person stadium. It would be like having a mini Met stadium in like your backyard, in the middle of a neighborhood, in a rural area where all of these are single family homes. But yet the one thing that they didn't focus on was making housing that
affordable
for people, so that 30 and 40-year-olds aren't having babies in their parents' basements, and they could actually live and be independent.
Right.
So yeah, those land use deals are huge.
Listen, I know exactly what you're saying. I just told you I have a 31-year-old, and she's been married for 7 years, and her and her husband could not afford to live in Brooklyn. They were in their 20s when they got married, and she was trying to find a home. They were trying to find a home in Brooklyn, so that, because my son-in-law's family also is from Brooklyn, and they were trying to find somewhere in Brooklyn so that when they have kids, we can help out with the child or children.
Right.
They could not find an affordable house, a house that is costly for their budget. So they were forced to go to Long Island to live. Now I have a granddaughter that's 2 years old, and I don't see my granddaughter the way I'd like to see her, because she's far away in Long Island. And myself and the other pair of grandparents, my husband and I, along with the other grandparents here in Brooklyn, we have to truck it out to Long Island, or they have to bring her here to us. And you're right. Like, when we say affordable housing, also on another component of it, for people who are buying, that's not affordable. No. It's outrageously priced. And again, this is Eric Adams selling the city out to the city of yes. And this is just what it is to developers. That's what it is. I don't care what people say. That's just my opinion. I stand by my opinion. And by the way, in facts are there to prove it. The city of yes. And that's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, quality of living has to be important. And I don't know what this trend is with these lithium battery plants everywhere. It's insane.
Yes, but thankfully we have a legislator on the state level, Assemblywoman Jamie Williams. She just put forward a bill to have this, I think it's like 450 feet away from residential community, like a ball field size away from residential community. Hopefully that bill is passed. So you see, this is what I'm trying to say. We have a city council member, Mercedes Narcisse of District 46, who's reactive. She is a person who's never there proactively for us. When something happens and everything falls to pieces, like a spilled can of milk, then she's trying to take a broom and try to sweep it up. No, we need a proactive leader who can lead. We should not wait on our state legislators to do this. This happened in the city council, and you voted for this, to bring these lithium-ion battery plants in our backyard. We don't have the luxury of having a third home in Florida like she does. We have to live here in Brooklyn or in New York to deal with this.
Unbelievable. You have some more comments here, and then I know you got to go. It says, bait and switch happened in Crown Heights. Nothing was able to get done to change it. Are you familiar with that? I don't know what she's referencing there. Do you?
No, I'm not sure what happened in Crown Heights. But again, There again, the term bait and switch doesn't exist. These things, everything happened on the city council level. In the city level, it comes to the desk of the city elected official. Whatever happens in your district, you are aware of it. So whoever the city council person was in Crown Heights, that would be probably Crystal Hudson, I don't know. It's they would know about it. Whoever, I stand corrected on the name of whoever the city council person is. But again, they're aware of these things. So it's about a community engagement component of it. Hosting a town hall, engaging the community so they'll be aware and be at a table as stakeholders to know what's coming in their community. Even if they push back on it, at least they're at a table and negotiating and have a conversation on this. We should not just force this into communities where it's our tax-paying dollars that have to fund these projects, and these are things that we can't afford to have.
Absolutely. So I'm going to drop our organization's political website in the chat. It's retiredlaborstrong.nyc. You will see the candidates who have agreed to support us, that they gave us a letter of commitment of our 3 issues and promised that when they were in office that they would continue to communicate with us. You will see Dimple on that website as well. You can click the link to her page so that you can go and support her in case you're not seeing it down there in the ticker running below. That says DimpleWillabus.com. She's running for District 46. You can reach out to her. You can volunteer for her, donate to her. She is one of our supporters as well, running for City Council. So I want to thank you, Dimple, for spending the hour with us and getting everyone to know who you are and what you stand for. And clearly you have a lot of fans here, and some of them have known you from, I guess, your rallies on the street and participating with them and fighting some of these same issues. So you guys are already on the same side on many of the same things. Janice says you need to come to the senior center at Marine Park and talk to seniors.
I'd love to come there. Janice, can you send me a message so that I would know what day and time they're there so that I would be able to come out? Just know that there's certain programs in there that is funded by the council member that block people like me from coming in to speak. I hope you're aware of that.
All right, Janice, you got to get in contact with her and email her campaign so she can
just
help.
text me, send me a message on social media. I'll be happy to come out. Wherever I'm welcome to come, I'll be happy to come and speak. Marianne, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity, and to all your viewers and to our retirees. I just want to leave one message with you. Remember, if you don't vote, you vote. If you do vote and you don't vote for the right candidate, then you deserve what the end result is. So get out there and vote on next month for our primary. And for those of you who are not registered Democrats, please make sure you go out and exercise your civic duty and vote. Thank you again for the opportunity.
You're welcome, Dimple. You have a great night. Anytime you want to come back, just let us know. We'd be glad to have you. Most of my Fridays are booked, but weekdays, any nights are yours. And if I'm free on a weekend, I'll open up a weekend. So
thank you.
As I tell everyone. So thank you so much. Everyone, I'm going to put Dimple in the waiting room so she can exit. Thank you very much. And we're going to close our hour. You can see my one eye keeps watering. I am still so very tired, and I've got allergies that are killing me. I see you guys are you're getting ready to vote in our election, our city elections. Yes. Jim Walden has been out campaigning. You have Chris Marte coming out. I want to ask you to put 2 more dates on your calendar, by the way. And I'm going to start advertising these on our page. June. There's 2 dates in June. Let me just grab my calendar so I don't screw this up. So June 5th in the evening, I will be posting an event, and in the evening in Lower Manhattan. So please put that on your calendar. I think it's 5 or 6 p.m. I will start to put that information out for you this week. And then June 12th from 8 to 4, I'm looking to take 200 retirees with me to spend the day at a conference in Long Island. So you are welcome to join us, and I will put that information out there. So I believe it's in Nassau County. So June 5th and June 12th, that's 2 consecutive Thursdays. So mark those calendars, that those are your dates to do retiree stuff, because we got a lot of stuff to do. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Robert, you're telling me I misspelled her name? No, don't tell me I did that. Hold on, let me go and look. Yep, I did. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to Bet you didn't know I did websites too, right? I just corrected that. Thank you for telling me. And I will make sure that does get saved. It looks like it's publishing right now. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. It really means a lot that we can get together and speak with people that support us. And this is why I keep saying this to you. I know you don't like having to do these political stuffs, right? But this is important because the people that are currently in office are not helping us. They're not helping you, and they're your electeds. And the only way to get our bills passed so that we're not fighting this until we're, I don't know, until I'm 90 or 100, is that we have to get people in office that understand what's important and understand that when a promise was made to you, that should be a promise kept, and that no one should be privatizing your Medicare. So I want to make sure that this is fixed. This bill that we're trying to pass does two things. And if you're hearing Michael Mulgrew of the Unity Caucus talk out his rear end, he thinks that his Unity flying monkeys keep saying that, why is she still attacking us? Michael Mulgrew walked away from Medicare Advantage. Well, no, he really didn't, because he's blocking the legislation that would protect that from happening to you. The second thing is he's passing costs on to all of you under the umbrella of the Municipal Labor Committee. When they needed money to fund their contracts, they got together, and you've seen me put up these documents where they negotiated increasing, not just for Medicare retirees, for everyone, for every employee, retiree, and their dependent. Increased copays, increased deductibles, narrowing their networks. They're negotiating prior authorizations in the active worker plan. Do you know how many of you I hear on the either active workers or under 65 retirees that keep telling me that your Emblem Health sucks? Your Emblem Health sucks not because Emblem Health sucks. It sucks because the Municipal Labor Committee negotiated your plan to be that way. They wanted the control over your health care. They think that's negotiation. They think that's custom. No, you created a shitty plan. This is the problem with the unions controlling your health care. And you're not even in the union anymore. But every time they wanted more prior authorization, they would put more procedures with a prior authorization procedure, and then they were getting value out of that. Because if the insurance company has the ability to delay or deny you care, then that has a value, because the insurance company there's no bill, so the city isn't paying. This is what you need to know. The active worker RFP, the request for proposal to replace the active worker healthcare plan and the under 65 or the non-Medicare retiree plan. They're keeping that from all of you that would have been in that plan until after the UFT election. They've been kicking this can down to delay it as much as possible. And in the notes that we have, why they didn't want to do this during the election for the union presidents was because there's more copays. There's tiered hospitals. And what does that mean? Tiered hospitals means if you go to an HHC hospital, there's no copays. But if you go to all these other hospitals, there's a higher copay. If you go to NYU or Presbyterian, there's a really high copay. They think that punishes the hospital. No, it punishes you. You pay for that. That's not going to punish the hospital. It punishes the person that lives down the road from NYU or Presbyterian, because that is your catchment hospital. That is the hospital that you're closest to or that your doctors go to. And the other issue is 911, New York City EMS, no longer will take you to another borough to a hospital. They will take you to the nearest 911. Why? Because they're short-staffed and response times are through the roof. And the best way to get the ambulances back on the street is not allow them to take a 15-minute ride to a hospital rather than a 5-minute ride. So you don't have a choice. If you don't want that ambulance, you can go where you want to. But maybe that's not so convenient. And the unions don't want you to know this. Increasing copays, increasing deductibles. Mark my words. They can't create a larger plan, meaning a plan with a national network, which is what they don't have now. And that costs more money and not transfer costs to you. So if they're increasing the kind of plan, improving the plan, making it a national network plan, what's going to happen? How are they going to be able to save an additional 10%? Michael Mulgrew was supposed to save $1.3 billion recurring in his plan. Henry Garrido was $600 million in his plan. Now they have to save 10%, which is about $1 billion on the active worker non-Medicare retirees. Who's paying for that? You are. And that's why Mulgrew doesn't want you to know before his election. He wants you to know after. So active workers and non-Medicare retirees, start paying attention. And here's the other wrinkle in this. United Healthcare is imploding. When we were heading home on the bus from Albany last week, their stock went from like $650 to like $250. I don't know where it is today. I haven't really looked. But I know that some of their board members were actually were reinvesting in the stocks as the stocks were dropping, to reinvest in the company to try to lift that up. I don't think Wall Street will have any more confidence in this company than they have today. But whatever happens, United Healthcare is the national component of the RFP for the active worker non-Medicare retiree plan. They are the partner of Emblem Health. And I can't tell you what's going to happen with that. And remember the other winner. There were two finalists, Emblem United and Aetna. And they were looking to replace all of the healthcare plans in the city with that one plan. So if it's true that United truly does implode and is not able to fulfill its contract with that they were proposing with the city, you guys are going to be stuck with Aetna. And I can't tell you what that's going to look like, other than what we were given to tell you all that, and share with your UFT people, that they are right now negotiating these increased copays, increased deductibles, narrowing the network and prior authorizations, tiering hospitals in that RFP for active workers. So listen, guys, I think we should take the rest of the day off. It's 7:15, almost 7:15. And I want you guys to relax. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you the rest of our schedule because we have two more guests this week. Tomorrow, we are hosting Ben Wetzler, who is running for District 4 at 6 p.m., but earlier in the day at 2 o'clock. If you are in District 39, and currently Shahana Hanif sits in that district, we are going to be doing phone banking for Maya Kornberg, who's running against Shahana Hanif in District 39. That's at 2 p.m. At 6 p.m., we're doing an interview just like this for Ben Wetzler from District 4. And then Friday morning, I'm up at, 6 o'clock in the morning to do our radio show at 7. And then at 6:30 p.m., we're interviewing Rachel Storch, who is also running for District 4 in Manhattan. So put those on your calendars as well as June 5th and June 11th. Those are going to be days you're going to spend with me. They're both, the June 5th is an evening event in Lower Manhattan, and the June 11th event is an all-day event in Nassau County. So put those on your calendar. I will make sure that they come out in the newsletter and that they're on our Facebook page as well. Put those on your calendar so that you can make sure you're there. I appreciate you guys coming out and listening and taking your time to get to meet Dimple Willabus. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, baby, set in stone. change your tone.